The shadows of Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt, with its sprawling underdeveloped neighborhoods, tells a tale of stark contrast. The city's landscape is dotted with dilapidated houses and settlements that seem to cling to existence by a thread. Smoke from local joints wafts through the air, mingling with the scent of sweat and street food. The narrow alleys are a maze of secrets, where bodybuilders pump iron in makeshift gyms, and prostitutes linger under the dim glow of flickering streetlights, offering their services to the night's wanderers. Nightclubs throb with life as the city's youth dance away their frustrations, temporarily forgetting the harsh realities that await them with the dawn. In one such neighborhood lived a boy named Cheki. He was a strikingly beautiful boy with skin the color of polished ebony and eyes that held the depth of uncharted oceans. But beauty, in his case, was a double-edged sword. Cheki's family was impoverished, and his outward appearance only served to highlight the stark disparity between his looks and his tattered clothes and worn-out shoes. A word of rejection. Cheki's beauty did not shield him from the cruelties of life. On the contrary, it seemed to exacerbate his troubles. The boys on his street and at school found sport in mocking him, their taunts a daily ritual. They called him names, threw stones at him, and laughed at his threadbare clothes and the duct-taped shoes that barely held together. Every day, Cheki would walk past them with his head held high, trying to mask the pain that gnawed at his soul. His mother, a single parent struggling to make ends meet by selling roasted plantains at the local market, often comforted him. "My son," she would say, "your time will come. You are destined for greatness." But as the years rolled on, Cheki's patience wore thin. The relentless bullying left scars deeper than anyone could see, and a simmering anger began to brew within him. He grew weary of being the butt of every joke and the target of every sneer. The turning point. One fateful evening, after enduring another day of relentless mockery, Cheki found himself wandering the back alleys of Port Harcourt. The sky was tinged with hues of orange and pink as the sun set, casting long shadows on the graffiti-covered walls. He stumbled upon a group of boys gathered around a fire, their faces partially illuminated by the flickering flames. They were older, tougher, and had an air of menace about them. Cheki knew who they were, the Black Vipers, a notorious cult gang that ruled the streets with an iron fist. They were feared and respected in equal measure, their influence extending to every corner of the neighborhood. The leader, a muscular young man named Amodi, looked up as Cheki approached. "What do you want, boy?" Amodi's voice was a low growl, laced with suspicion. Cheki took a deep breath, summoning all the courage he could muster. "I want to join you." The boys laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the alley. "And why should we let a pretty boy like you join us?" one of them sneered. "Because I'm tired of being laughed at," Cheki replied, his voice steady. "I'm tired of being weak. I want to be strong, like you." Amodi studied Cheki for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well. But know this, you must prove yourself. There's no room for weakness in the Black Vipers." The rise of Kingo. Initiation into the Black Vipers was brutal, a trial by fire that tested Cheki's resolve to its limits. But he endured, fueled by a burning desire for revenge. He fought, bled, and proved his worth to the gang. Slowly, he gained their respect and rose through the ranks. The transformation was astonishing. The once timid and bullied boy became a force to be reckoned with. Cheki embraced his new identity, adopting the moniker Kingo, a name that soon became synonymous with fear and power. With his newfound status, he exacted his revenge on those who had tormented him. The first to fall was Emeka, the ringleader of the bullies. Cheki and the Black Vipers cornered him one night, stripping him of his money, shoes, and dignity. It was a calculated move, a public humiliation that sent a clear message to the others. One by one, Cheki targeted those who had made his life a living hell, reclaiming not just their possessions but his self-respect. With each victory, Kingo's wardrobe expanded. He now wore designer clothes and expensive shoes, a stark contrast to his former self. The streets buzzed with whispers of his transformation. Women who once turned away now sought his attention, and the boys who had laughed at him now looked at him with a mix of fear and envy. A city transformed. Port Harcourt itself seemed to change in response to Kingo's rise. The underdeveloped houses and settlements were still there, but the air was charged with a new energy. The smoking joints, bodybuilding places, prostitution houses, and nightclubs all bore witness to Kingo's reign. He was no longer an outcast, he was a king. The local bodybuilding gym, once a place where he was ridiculed, now welcomed him as a patron. Kingo's presence alone was enough to command respect. The prostitutes who once turned him away now vied for his attention, their eyes gleaming with the hope of a better future. Even the nightclubs, where he had once been a wallflower, now reserved VIP sections for him and his entourage. But power, as intoxicating as it was, came with its own set of challenges. Kingo had to navigate the treacherous waters of gang politics, always wary of rivals both within and outside the Black Vipers. Amodi, who had once been his mentor, now viewed him with a mixture of pride and caution. The balance of power within the gang was delicate, and any misstep could be fatal. The price of power. As Kingo's influence grew, so did his list of enemies. Rival gangs, envious of his meteoric rise, plotted against him. The streets of Port Harcourt became a battleground, with skirmishes breaking out almost daily. Kingo's reputation for ruthlessness was both his shield and his sword, but it also made him a target. One night, as he was returning from a nightclub, Kingo was ambushed. A group of masked men, armed and dangerous, surrounded him. The attack was swift and brutal, leaving him battered and bruised. But Kingo fought back with a ferocity that surprised even his assailants. By the time the dust settled, 3 of the attackers lay unconscious, and the rest had fled. The incident served as a stark reminder of the precariousness of his position. Kingo realized that he could not afford to let his guard down, even for a moment. The world he had embraced was one of perpetual conflict, where only the strongest survived. Redemption and reflection. In the aftermath of the attack, Kingo found himself reflecting on his journey. He had achieved what he set out to do, he had silenced his tormentors and earned their respect. But at what cost? The boy who once dreamed of a better life had become a man defined by violence and fear. One evening, as he sat in his lavishly furnished room, surrounded by the trappings of his success, Kingo received an unexpected visitor. It was his mother, her face lined with worry and sorrow. She looked around the room, taking in the opulence, and then fixed her gaze on her son. "Cheki," she said softly, using his real name for the first time in years. "Is this what you wanted?" Her words cut through him like a knife. Kingo looked at his mother, the woman who had sacrificed so much for him, and felt a pang of guilt. He had been so consumed by his quest for revenge that he had lost sight of what truly mattered. "No, Mama," he admitted, his voice choked with emotion. "This is not what I wanted." His mother reached out and took his hand. "It's never too late to change, my son. You can still find your way back. A new beginning." Kingo's transformation did not happen overnight. It was a gradual process, one that required immense strength and determination. He began by distancing himself from the Black Vipers, a move that was fraught with danger. But Kingo was no longer driven by fear, he was driven by a desire to reclaim his humanity. He reached out to community leaders and began working on initiatives to improve the neighborhood. With his influence and resources, he helped set up educational programs and vocational training centers. He also started a rehabilitation program for former gang members, offering them a chance at a new life. The streets of Port Harcourt began to change. The smoking joints and bodybuilding places were still there, but there was a new sense of hope in the air. The local gym, once a place of intimidation, became a center for youth empowerment. The nightclubs, while still buzzing with life, now hosted events aimed at promoting social awareness. Kingo, now referred to by his real name Cheki, became a symbol of redemption. His journey from a bullied boy to a feared gang leader and finally to a community leader inspired many. He had come full circle, proving that it was possible to rise above adversity and make a positive impact. Legacy of change. Years later, as Cheki looked out over the neighborhood he had once called home, he felt a sense of peace. The scars of his past had not disappeared,